everyone, thank you so much for dropping by. My name is Jasmine. I've spent the last 20 plus years really studying dogs, looking at the breeds, the different breeds, characteristics and standards of the different breeds, looking at behaviour. I have spent around 3 years working in the veterinary industry, assisting vets with the pets basically, assisting with the animals and the in-care for that. I've also spent over 2 years volunteering at a local dog shelter, and I have also studied animal management. So I hope that this channel serves as a helpful guide for you with your dog, or if you just happen to like dogs and want to learn more about them, then please follow. I do appreciate any support you can give me. Hit a like if you want to. Comment about what you would like me to talk about. If there's anything specifically that you're interested in or you're not quite sure about, please leave a comment and say, I'd love to know more about this, can you please do a video on that, and I'll do my best to get to that. So I appreciate all your support. Without further ado, let's begin. So in today's video we're going to talk about what is an ethical breeder and how can you find one. So the first thing is, what is an ethical breeder? Well, an ethical breeder is someone who breeds dogs, typically between 1 to 2 breeds only. They have advanced knowledge of the dog. They are breeding for the betterment of that dog and of the breed, without being concerned about the profits that they make, and that their primary concern is about the puppy's well-being and about their dog's well-being. They should have all of their dogs health tested and only breed from the best healthy dogs physically, but also from the best temperaments. That for me is an ethical breeder. That is someone that is very passionate about what they do and very passionate about the puppies that their dogs produce. So how many breeds should an ethical breeder own? Now, owning a dog is different to breeding a dog. If they are breeders, let's say, of Labradors, and so they have predominantly Labradors, but maybe they have a Shih Tzu and maybe a Chihuahua as well, but those dogs are not being bred from, they are purely family, that's fine. Those are family pets that are there for companionship. But if you go to a breeder and they're breeding multiple breeds, really more than 3, and they've got multiple dogs or quite a large number of dogs, that's when I start to get concerned that there's something a little bit more going on. So really for me, 1 to 2 breeds should be the maximum. Now, how many dogs do they own? Now that's a tricky one, because at the end of the day, they may have just a companion dog, or maybe a few companion dogs, but they may only breed certain dogs. But if you're going to have multiple dogs that you're breeding from, and you have a large number of them, 5, 6, 7, 8 different dogs, that's where I'm a little bit worried. Okay, if they live on an acreage and have hundreds of acres where all of the dogs can run and play, and they are welcoming you to be able to see their whole system, their whole setup, that the males are kept separate from the females during periods of heat, that it's very carefully selected who breeds with what bitch, and that each dog is carefully health tested and temperament tested, and that they're not bred every single season, then that is okay if they have multiple dogs. But most ethical breeders will only have 1 to 2 bitches and maybe 2 to 3 dogs. That's normally the sort of setup that you would find, and so they normally keep it small. They don't breed their dogs every season. They give their dog a break, so it might be 1 litter per year. They might even do 1 litter for 1 bitch a year, and the other bitch has a different litter the next year, so it might even alternate between them. Meets and greets. Now this is really important. Lots of breeders, especially ethical breeders, will really want to know who is taking home their puppy, and so they are going to want to meet you, normally on at least a semi-regular basis prior to picking up a puppy, just to get to know you, get to know your family. Some breeders may even go to your home just to see, not to be snoopy, but just to meet you as a family. How do you function? How is the home? Is it functional for the breed that you're choosing? You know, if you live in a really tiny townhouse or a really tiny apartment, you know, taking on a Great Dane may not be the best idea, although Great Danes are good apartment dogs. But of course that's if the apartment's big enough for one. But they may even want to do that. That shouldn't be something that concerns you. That should be something that actually is encouraged, because those are breeders who are really passionate about their puppies. They want their puppies to thrive. They should also have lots of questions. They should be asking you all about what you do for work, about your family, and not just about the now, but they should be focused as well on what the future holds. Okay, and that's really important to consider when taking on a dog. There's no point taking on a dog that you know is unlikely to get on with children if you know that in 5 years' time you're going to want to start a family. If that's something that you've been planning, that in a few years I want to start a family, there's no point taking on a breed that is renowned for disliking children, okay? Especially if that dog is then going to be kind of the centre of attention throughout the following years until that child arrives. So they should be interested in things like that. They'll also want to know about your experience with dogs. If you don't have a lot of experience owning a dog and you're taking on a breed that might need a little bit more attention than others, if you're taking on, for example, a Belgian Malinois and you've never owned a dog before, ethical breeders are going to be very hesitant to go ahead with any sale. They are going to want to know everything about you and want to understand truly what your plans are with that puppy and how you're going to be able to perform the upkeep of a dog of that level, not only mentally but physically too. How can you exercise a dog and keep that type of dog engaged where it's not going to become destructive and not going to develop any type of anxieties or problems. Ethical breeders should also be ready to say no. They should be ready to say, actually, you're a great family, but you're not quite the right fit for my dog, or you're not quite the right fit for the breed. Some breeders will go as far as to say, let's work together to try and find a breed that is suitable for you, although of course their knowledge of other breeds may be limited. The other thing with ethical breeders is they should be more than willing to allow you to meet the siblings, meet the mother, and look at the environment that the puppies are brought up in. This actually happened to me a few years ago. So a number of years ago I was looking at getting a border collie and I found a beautiful little female puppy. She was red male, she had different coloured eyes, she was gorgeous. And I called up and I said, hi, I'm calling about the female red male collie puppy. And she said, oh, you're the first person that's called. We're like a 20-minute drive away. When would you like to come and meet her? And I said, well, if it's all right, even though I like her, I think she's beautiful, I'd like to meet all of the puppies, because if there's a puppy that's more receptive to me, I'd take that one instead. I don't mind having whatever colour, it's just I think red male is very beautiful. And the woman on the phone got very funny with me, and she said, oh, I just pick up the puppy at the barn and take it over to the house, and you can meet her at the house. I don't bring all of the puppies to the house. And I said, that's fine, I don't mind meeting them in the barn, that's fine. And she said, oh no, I'll just bring her to the house for you. And she was very insistent that I was not allowed to come to the barn to see where the puppies had been whelped and raised. And for me that was, quite major red flags right there. Why can I not meet the rest of the puppies? Especially, as I've said, I'd like to meet all of them to see which puppy is receptive towards me. Because you know, every dog is different, and everyone, you know, just like we bond with humans in a different way, dogs bond with humans differently and interact with humans differently. And so for me that was a big concern. And then I said, well, would the mother be in the house? And she said, well, the mother's a working dog, so she might be up working in the fields. But I can try and bring her down for you, but it's just hard bringing her down off the fields because she likes to work, which I can understand. Collies are renowned for their loyalty towards their handlers and towards the work that they do. But her hesitance in allowing me to meet any of the puppies, her hesitance in allowing me to meet the mother, caused some major red flags. And so I said, okay, that's fine, and I got the details of the farm that they were living at, and then I ended up cancelling the meeting and said, I'm really sorry, something's come up, I can't come anymore. And I ended up giving that information to the RSPCA, which is basically the English version of the SPCA, or the ASPCA. So I sent the information to the RSPCA as an online tip to say that this is what's happened, this is my experience. If someone could check it out and make sure that there's not a puppy farm going on here, because for me, that all of that screamed red flags and puppy farm. So, and I knew if I'd got there and I'd met the puppy, there was no way I would have been able to walk away without her. And I didn't want to hand over money to someone that's potentially causing harm to animals, so that's why I handed in the information I had, and I hope that, you know, the dogs are well and safe. But that story, I hope, gives you an idea. If someone's a little bit hesitant or not really sure if you're going to be able to meet the puppies, not going to be able to meet the mother, or don't want you to see where the whelping area is and where the puppies have been raised, these are all red flags. And I'm going to do a video on the red flags and what to look out for when buying a puppy, what things are not so great when you're buying a puppy, in terms of not buying things, but in terms of actually what things appear untoward, you know, that should be a red flag to you and that maybe you should stay away from. So I'm going to do a video about that very soon. An ethical breeder should also be ready to share the health and the history of the parents. So they should be able to sit down, say, this is the dog's, you know, genetic testing to show that this is the hip score, this is the eye tests, and so on and so forth. And, you know, many breeders will have owned grandparents or know who owns the grandparents and may have that information and should be willing to share as much of the history about the parents as possible. Not just about the health testing, but they may mention about any health issues that the parents have had, even if it's just an injury and not necessarily an illness. Just, oh yeah, the father broke his leg last year doing something crazy, or whatever it is. But they should be quite open to you about talking about the parents and should be able to answer any questions you have about the parents. And lastly, we've got puppy contracts. A lot of very ethical breeders will have puppy contracts, and within those contracts it will say things like, by the time the dog is 24 months it must be neutered, it cannot be bred from, or this is a show dog. And so those puppy contracts, they vary between you know, between breeder to breeder. They vary, but the general gist is normally that if anything goes wrong with my dog, you know, as in with that puppy, that you hand the puppy back to me and I will do my utmost best to help that dog, regardless of what stage that dog is in life, whether it's an adult, you know, you've had your puppy 2 months and that's it, you need to give it back, or whether the dog's even a senior and has medical issues. The breeder should be willing to be able to take that dog back into their life at any stage and offer the same love and treatment and passion that they had provided when they sold that puppy. Most breeders though will not refund puppies, so that is not something that usually is ever done unless there's a serious problem with the puppy, and that's normally more of a court thing. You have to usually go through court to do all of that. But yeah, that's really puppy contracts. Again, they vary between each, but most breeders will have kind of a standard of, you know, the normal standard is you can't breed from the dog, or you have to show the dog, depending if it's a show line or not, and that the dog normally has to be neutered by around 24 months. So I hope that's given you a little bit of an insider about the sort of things to look out for, and hopefully this has helped you find a little bit about how to help find an ethical breeder. Again, you know, if you want to, you know, if there's something you want to know more about, please comment below. If you think I've not provided enough information, you know, let me know and I'm happy to upload some more information. You know, if you can like, that would be great. Subscribe, that would be fantastic. I do have a little fundraiser going on because it's always been my dream to be able to open up a dog shelter, well, really an animal rescue, but it would start as a dog shelter and a cat shelter. It would be a no-kill shelter. It would be based in Portugal, where my husband's from. We're planning to relocate there. And so even if you know, you're not obligated to donate, but if you can even just share it, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. Bye bye.